Now, this will be my first time doing this. I kind of mentioned everything in the description, but it's fine. Just remember to leave a like. If you want, you can comment, your choice. And subscribe. Remember, subscribing, always free. Do it anytime. Everyone says it. I ain't trying to force you to do nothing, but it really does help out a lot. Considering this is probably, my first video. But, yeah. Anyways, let's get right into it. So, of course, just kind of pressing new game. Oh wait, I actually need to... Oh no. I forgot to turn music off. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to configure my settings. Well, it's good, it's good. Can't use the music because it's copyrighted. And YouTube doesn't like that, so, yeah. Anyways, let's get into it. Of course, just the brightness. I'm just kind of including everything, just because it's good to know. I normally keep my brightness at 6, even though, like, yeah, I can see it at 5, I'm not blind, I can see it at 4 and 3, but I just don't really like my games being insanely, like, dark, especially because there's some pretty dark areas in this game. Uh, anyways, keep my camera axis, y-axis normal, all that stuff just fine. Camera speed I have no problems with, and we're moving on. Now, I do have both DLCs, but I most likely won't be including them. Yeah. So, we can kind of skip this. Like I said, it's a walkthrough. It's not, when I play a game through on this, that's fine. I'll, you know. I probably won't do it on this, though. I'll probably do it on Dark Souls 1 or 2, or Remastered in 2, because I'm not playing the original one. And then the name, we'll just go with Astro Saver. After all, I mean, that's YouTube name. Most likely, so I'll either be doing gameplays on my YouTube channel, or you can check out my Twitch, twitch.tv, Astro Saver. I'm not verified, so I don't have a link yet. So, like this says, age only affects your appearance. It doesn't have any bearing on, like, what abilities you can have. Like, are you faster or slower? I like to go with mature, just because, yeah. And for classes, for this, I will be running a strength build. Now, most people you'll meet will say, like, choose warrior for the insanely high strength. But I actually choose knight, because knight has high vitality and the second most amount of, like, base strength stat out of the other classes. There's also Pyromancer isn't terrible, but I don't know, I just don't think it's right, you know? You kind of want to run tank throughout the beginning. That's my opinion. So I'm gonna run knight. Now your class actually, let me explain the classes. Let me get through that actually. So knight, it kind of says up here, sturdy, owing, high vitality, and they get really good armor at the beginning. So basically, they're kind of like the class that you're gonna use if you want to have good protection for the beginning of the game, and it's kind of I don't want to say base because deprived would be base class, but it's kind of just a good one to choose for like beginners as well. You'll meet all these people who like tell you like warrior, because it's like beginner friendly. It's not. I'm gonna get that. A lot of people are gonna disagree. Like, no, it is. It's got really high strength, so it allows you to just kind of swipe through some of the enemies. But I've always felt like warrior can never really take a good hit like knight can. So, there's mercenary. Now, mercenary, everyone will tell you choose it for dex builds, and I completely agree. I'll go more into like these builds later. Just kind of explain them. Probably will explain them in a second video, or a different video. Sorry. But yeah, you see high dexterity and allows masterful wielding of dual scimitars. Those are called the Sellsword Twin Blades, and they are the best dex weapon to choose. well, the best dex weapon in the game. Just because they're really high dex, stat boosts and all that. I'll get through stat boosts, all that stuff in a second. So yeah, warrior, mercenary, mercenary's dex, warriors, strength build if you're really trying to, run higher strength. But vitality is also a big part of strength builds because strength builds are the heavy weapons and very heavy armor. So that's another reason why I choose knight is because of the high vitality. Herald, no one uses herald. Just don't. Alright, it's a pikeman class. That's really all I can say about it. There's not much special to it other than you get a spear at the beginning. Thief, honestly, I just say no matter what because you already get mercenary. And Thief is basically a worse mercenary, but the Thief does come with a bow, so if you are trying to run like a bow only or you're trying to get a bow really, really early in, I guess you can use Thief for a dex build, but bows are kind of really bad, in my opinion. Assassin, again, if you're going to use Assassin, they're kind of like they're more of the backstab type of class, and they're more used for like, they're not good at the beginning. They're not really good at all. I myself would never use Assassin, but it does come with Silent Step. So that's a big thing because Silent Step not only allows you to walk, like allows you to basically jog around and enemies won't hear you, but it also allows you to kind of fall and take pretty much no damage at a certain height. Sorcerer, this one's kind of self-explanatory. Intelligence build. That's just kind of how it is. So just running sorceries in general, obviously you want to choose Sorcerer. Same thing for Pyromancer. That's Pyromancy build. Equal intelligence and faith is the key to Pyromancies. And of course you get the Pyromancy's Flame. Actually, the Pyromancer is really useful, like, going in through the game, but if you're not careful at what stats you're leveling up early on, you can kind of ruin your class and your build. Clerics, honestly, they were much better in the older games, in my opinion. But they did add new lightning spells that made them way stronger, which is the only reason why I'd say, like, if you're trying to run a faith build, I'm not going to stop you, but you just got to realize that kind of some of the faiths some of the attacking, like, faiths you're going to use, they're a little bit harder to get, and they're a little bit later in. So you'll kind of be running with a kind of weaker class beginning in. And then Deprived is kind of just like, as you can see, it's completely evened out. There's nothing special to it. A lot of people choose it if they're not sure of what build they're going to use at the beginning. But as I said, I'll be using Knight. Burial Gifts. Now, this is actually a big thing to bring up. Burial Gifts will quite literally affect a large amount of what you're going to do in the beginning. So, let me just show you what burial gifts you're never going to want to use. You're never going to want to use Divine Blessing or Hidden Blessing. They are basically the Estus Flask and Ashen Estus Flask, but they restore it completely. But they're only a one-use thing, so you use it once, it's gone, forever. Plus, you can find a lot of them later in as well. Black Fire Bombs. Don't get me wrong, they're not the worst, but fact is you can find Black Fire Bombs just kind of lying around in different areas. Well, not lying around, but yeah. Fire Gem. The only reason why you're not going to pick Fire Gem is because enemies have a big fire resistance. Early in game they don't. Early in game they have low, they can't really handle fire. Which is again why I was thinking about Pyromancer for a second. But yeah. I myself wouldn't use, I wouldn't pick the Fire Gem. Sovereignless Soul. Just allows you to get more souls, but you kind of get a considerable amount in the beginning anyways, dealing with like you know, the first boss and everything. So that's alright. Rusted gold coin, again, one-time use. You don't want to use it. You don't want to get it. You can find them in the game. They're an item that exists. Cracked red eye orbs, no again. Alright? Again, with the one-time use thing, not the best. Let me explain the rusted gold coin a little bit more, actually, now that I think about it. So, as it says up there, it greatly increases item discovery, but item discovery isn't a big thing in the beginning, and it's a half-half thing kind of later in, so yeah, plus you can find a lot if you get later in. Cracked red eye orbs, they allow you to become a dark spirit and invade other worlds, obviously as it says up there, one use only, but if you use a cracked red eye orb, you're kind of asking for a death wish only because so many people are just ahead. And the young white branch is not terrible. But again, you find a lot of them actually really early in, so they're not the best. I realize I've been kind of screwing a lot of them over, so I'm going to go for the ones that you might want to choose. It's between Life Ring, because you get like, your vigor gets raised like crazy. You get way more HP. And it just kind of helps you out. Or, I guess Black Fire Bombs, seeing as how this boss is, but I know how to fight Udex, which is why I'm choosing the Life Ring. Alright, build. Now, because I'm running a strength build, the build actually has quite the effect. I don't really know how to explain it other than, you know, it just helps. Sure, it widens your hitbox if you're running a strength build, but, you know, it allows you to. I'm not gonna choose a build, I'm just gonna go with appearance, and then muscular. So I'm just gonna max out everything, basically. That's what I'm doing here. Base skin color. Kinda select from the different ones. I kinda just like to go with a normal skin color, but I don't know, I mean, if that's not your thing, then you can always just run green. Or blue, yeah. But I'm not. You know, this is a quick tutorial. This isn't my character that I'll be playing. If I do decide to run a, you know, playthrough on it and stuff. Alright, finalize creation. Yup. Alright, now we load in. Now I realize that some of the audio might be a little bit buggy, but I might go on ahead and fix that next episode, see if anything fixes, if I try what I wanna. So we're gonna get in here, we're gonna spawn, it's a little bit loud. Those bells tolling, I'll kinda explain those a bit. Basically, they kinda symbolize the undead rising. And there's your character. So, I'll explain a little bit more on our character a little bit later, when we get into, like, what they call us. Here it is. Now, this is the Cemetery of Ash. This is where, you know, the Ashen ones rise up. When those bells toll, we're the ones who kind of rise up. And, yep, just kind of going through all these real quick. Let me go on and explain these. So, as you can see, I'm playing on PlayStation, so it's a little bit different, but, you know, I control my camera with my right stick. R1 is normal attacks. They're definitely faster, and they consume less stamina, but heavy attacks, or strong attacks as they call it, deal way more damage. They're slower, but and they consume more stamina. But the the boost that you get from it and damage, well, yeah. So, yep, kill the hollow. Backstep, roll, yep. So, rolling is a big part of this game because they have things that we like to call iframes. Basically, iframing is the key to survival in Dark Souls. In any Dark Souls, Soulsborne game, whatever. You know? I guess in Bloodborne it's not that big of a deal, but, you know, I'll be like doing a playthrough on Bloodborne, not a tutorial. Well, no, it depends on how you guys like this. I mean, you know, that was the Ashen Estus flask. Grab that. I can't help but think that's literally just us laying on the floor. Nah, I know who it is, but it's a little bit of a older game. So this is what we call backstabs. Actually, I'll probably turn down my volume a little bit, because sound effects and voices are very loud. I'll keep voices down. Just because it's very loud, it's kind of over-speaking me. Or overtaking my voice, sorry. But, here, yeah, L1 is to block. These guys are kind of basically just archers. So, yeah, they'll kind of just go on a shooting loop of shoot, reload, wait a second, shoot, reload. It won't always be waiting a second. I think that was just because it was a tutorial, but, you know. So yeah, you always just like one-shot the first dudes. That makes sense, it's a tutorial after all. Now, parrying is something very interesting, because the parrying in this game is a little bit more, well, it's a little bit hard to pull off, is really what I'd say. So I'm gonna kill this one, and let me just show you. So, parrying and riposting are very interesting. So, that was a parry. As you saw, I pressed L2 to kind of throw my shield up, deflect his weapon, and then after that, he was in the riposte stance, as I like to call it. And when they're in the riposte stance, just kind of light attack, and you get the riposte off. Now, over here, I wouldn't suggest this for beginners at all. As it said there, turn back. This is a crystal lizard over here. Now, what crystal lizards are is they're very tough creatures, but they will drop you Titanite scales and stuff, and Titanite scales you can use to upgrade boss weapons. I'll teach you a little bit more on how to get boss weapons later, but yeah, just kinda, the best way that I learned is kinda strike him from behind. When he does that move, kinda back up. So he'll do a whole bunch of attacks, like that. Just kinda, yep. So he's gonna ball it up, and just gonna run after him so he doesn't try to ball it back. And then keep striking. Yep, iframe. Yep, iframe. And just kind of keep striking. Nope. Dodge. And there we go. So, this is something you'll find reoccurs for some enemies. If you damage an enemy with a large amount of health, like Titanite lizards, they'll eventually go into a damage riposte, which is basically where you can then land a riposte and basically just deal an insanely large amount of damage. It's not only with large health enemies. Some bosses will have it, which I guess you could count, but I don't count them. I count them as a whole different thing. Because every boss in Dark Souls has been unique, has had their own thing, you know? And I kind of think that's something to really enjoy about the Soulsborne series. I think I've grabbed everything, right? I grabbed the souls. This isn't a 100% walkthrough, but yeah, still, I just kind of like to grab stuff. I got the Titanite scale, so that'll be useful for later boss weaponry. But, yeah. Anyways. So, here we got our first bonfire. And bonfires, as you would guess, they're save points, basically, and just kind of little checkpoints that you can be safe at. Just gotta realize that you can't always, you know, just go to a bonfire if you're low on health and an enemy is chasing you. You have to kill the enemy or make sure that the enemy has stopped chasing you, because then you cannot reset the enemies at the bonfire. If an enemy is near a bonfire, it will go out and you cannot rest until that enemy is gone. So there really is no safe points. There are a couple of like enemy barriers, as we like to call them, which are basically where there's certain points where enemies cannot pass through unless they kind of like glitch through it or attack through it. But like, I'll show you a good example at Firelink Shrine. But yeah, it's kind of gist of it though. We're going to move through here. There we go. There should be an enemy here. Yeah, so that's another thing. Enemies with light weaponry you can deflect with a shield if it's, you know, high enough physical absorption. Like the Knight shield I absolutely love because it has 100 physical absorption, which is kind of like key. And then the Knight armor is just really good defense. So you can kind of handle really just about anything that's thrown at you in the beginning. Right, let me show you how to jump. So that's kind of just running. On PlayStation, it'd be holding circle and then clicking down on the left stick. I do not know what it is on Xbox or PC, but, you know, just read the tutorial signs. They'll be sure to help you out. Now, we're about to get up on our first boss fight. Let me just say that now. This dude is quite sad. I'll grab those items later. It's not really worth it right now. I'm just gonna check for any... good, alright. So, here's another thing to know about Dark Souls. When you die, all of your souls are dropped into a blood pool, basically. So, like these. You know, these are blood pools. And it's just kinda... You know, you can see how other people died from their, blood stains. But, basically, once they grab their blood stains, though, they get all their souls back and their blood stain disappears. The same thing goes for you. So it's not like they're just like, oh, the game's trying to help me out. No, these are real players who died fighting this guy. And his name is Iudex Gundyr. Now let's pull the coiled sword out. Now you can actually damage him as he's getting up. It's actually better too, because you get some nice, you know, good hits in. And see that? We already deal some good damage. Oh, I forgot he strikes up as well. And then strike him. Oh god. Ah. I haven't fought him in a while. Jesus. Nope. Man, he is being aggressive right now. Nope. No. Don't do it. Don't do it, Iudex. Yep, alright. Now this one's kind of simple. Just kind of stay behind him. And what this is called, it's called the Pus of Man. Yeah, so that was pretty simple for me, just because I've played this before. I've played the other Soulsborne games. I can kind of handle that. Um, just kind of try to take from my example if you can. I mean, if you're just going in, doing your own thing, that's fine too. I would suggest if you chose the black flame bombs, throw those at him when his Pus of Man form shows up. That was what that was called, by the way, the Pus of Man. And the whole thing with that is it's kind of basically the corruption and hatred of man incarnate. And I suppose you could call it a type of cancer. But there we go. Another thing to notice is every time a boss fight has ended, a bonfire will be placed at that boss. That doesn't go for the other two games. Mainly for this one. This is really the only, I think this is the only Soulsborne game that incorporates it. Nope, wait. Bloodborne also incorporates the bonfire after boss mechanic. But, on top of that, they did remove a few things, though. For example, you can't level up at bonfires like you used to. Well, I guess that's kind of going for all the Soulsborne games, except for Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls. In the original Dark Souls, you could kind of just, you know, stay at a bonfire, and you could sit at any bonfire and then level up. But for this, it's not the same story. They did remove the traveling mechanic. Or, not the traveling mechanic. I don't remember what I was gonna say. It's fine. Anyways. Yeah, so in Dark Souls 1, they did have it to where, like, traveling was like you had to get an item. And then in order to, after you got that item, you'd be able to travel, but it was like much further in, is what I'd say. Oh, hold up. And I'm back. Alright, yep, so we went for those guys. Now, over here, I don't know if I want to fight them yet myself. You can kind of see people who died here. But, yeah, you can see that little speck over there is the Uchigatana Master. Now he wields, again, one of the best dex weapons. The Uchigatana, of course. And I myself, when I was running my dex build, kind of ran off the Uchigatana for a while until I ran off the Wolf Knight's Greatsword, but that's a different thing. Anyways, so yeah, he's stronger than he looks, for sure. So the best way would really be to kick him off because you still get his loot. But yep, nope. I'm not trying to fight him right now, is what I was gonna say, but he already got to me. I also forgot to mention, you see this kind of like cindery flame look going around my armor? That's because we are the Ashen One. Basically, the whole thing is like, you know, our entire purpose is we are going to, you know, rekindle the first flame by taking in the Lords of Cinders and kind of placing their ashes so that they can give us their power and take us to it. But yeah, so we need to bring the Lords back to their thrones. When we get in, we will already meet one of them named Ludlif the Exiled. Basically, Ludlif got kind of betrayed by his people, pretty much. After they kind of found out that the Lords of Cinder were going mad and betraying their kingdoms. So they were like, we don't want you here, Ludlif, because we don't want you destroying us. And he was exiled with a very special ring.
Oh, that
He's right here.
And a seeker of lords.
Yep.
I am Ludlif of Corland.
Ludlif of Corland, yep.
In bewilderment, as I say. I linked the fire long ago, becoming the Lord of Cinder. If substantiation be thy want, set thine eyes upon my charred corpse. This sad cadaver. No need to be caught.
So I love Ludlif. Also because he will later in allow you to basically take bosses' souls and he will turn them into like weapons, rings, whatever, spells. So this is Best Girl. We call her Best Girl. This is, you know, the Firekeeper, as we call her.
Welcome to the bonfire,
As she is. She is a Firekeeper. So her whole thing is, yeah. Well, she'll explain it.
I tend to the flame, and tend to thee.
Yup.
The lords have left their thrones, and must be delivered to them. To this
Yup.
end, I am at thy side.
So, as it shows here, she levels you up. If you kill her, you can never level up your character for the rest of the game, and you will most likely, or you will, restart your character and make a new account.
Farewell, Maid of Flame.
Basically, she's the one that you want to be perhaps one of the most careful about hitting. I might go through a tutorial on other, you know, classes and what builds you wanna run with them, stuff like that. How you can run those builds. But I'm just kind of not trying to do that right now. No, that ain't really my thing. But yep. So now we've linked the Firelink Shrine bonfire, and now we have unlocked fast travel, as you'll see here. Travel. So basically, Udex Gundyr, Cemetery of Ash, we got those bonfires, and then we moved on to the High Wall of Lothric. We're going to be going there next. But basically, you see that bonfire level, you can get that up by burning undead bone shards, and when you do that, it'll basically upgrade how much health you'll gain from your Estus Flask, or how much MP you gain from the Ashen. Which, I do not need the Ashen Estus Flask, so I will be going over to Andre, my dear friend, who is another one that you want to be careful about, because if you kill him, or even hurt him, you can't upgrade any of your weaponry, which is another large thing with this.
I am Andre. I serve at this shrine.
Yup.
As a humble smith, forging weapons. You're in search of the Lords of Cinder, I trust.
Yup.
A toilsome journey, I'd wager. You'll require good arms.
Absolutely.
Let me smith you weapons. I am a smith. Such is my purpose.
Yeah, so basically, Blacksmith Andre, he's one of the very few characters that, you know, is basically a reference character, or a character that they kind of brought back from the original Dark Souls.
Just what neat.
Yep, I already know what needs smithing today. He allows you to do something called Estus Allotment, which allows you to either take your Ashen Estus Flask and add it to your Estus Flask, or take your Estus Flask and add it onto your Ashen Estus Flask. So basically determines, do you want to have any Ashen Estus, or how much Ashen Estus do you want? I'm never going to use the Ashen Estus Flask, because it only restores MP or FP, sorry, they call it FP, I keep forgetting that. But, basically, I'm never going to really use FP other than, like, some occasional, like, you know, weapon use, or weapon abilities. Of course, he also reinforces your weaponry. So, I have the longsword, I'm going to be changing that very soon. You can, you know, reinforcing Estus Flask is something that's kind of always going to be a thing, from Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 to Dark Souls 3, and those use Estus Shards. Basically, what Estus Shards do is, it's kind of simple. They allow you to get more Estus Flask, basically, so as you can see, we have 3 Estus Flask, but if we got an Estus Flask Shard, it would raise up to 4.
Tis good what needs.
Yep. Infusement. Again, another very simple thing. Fire Gem, here it is. You can add fire to your weapons. As you can see, it has a lot of drawbacks. But, anyways, Raw Gem, Refined Gem. You'd really only use the Refined Gem, or, you know, to upgrade both stats. Or you would use, later in, the Sharp Gem. Because the Sharp Gem, you know, that's pretty simple again. The whole thing with the Sharp Gem is that it boosts Dex. The Dex boost on a weapon goes up from, like, for example, a low D to, like, potentially low C. I'll kind of emphasize a little more on, you know, stat boosts on weapons and stuff, but I'm not going to get deep into that right now.
Sturdy enough by and large, but when overused, they'll eventually break.
Yep.
When their durability is low, repair becomes a necessity. Use a powder, or simply rest at a bonfire. But should chance impel them break, bring them me. I'll hammer them back into shape.
Yep.
They take no pleasure in breaking, I assure ye. So handle them with care, if you would.
I love Andre.
I don't want
Yeah, so that's another reason why you would never want to, you know, hurt Andre. If you hurt him, and your weapon ends up breaking, like completely breaking, you will never be able to use that weapon again. And for, like, special weapons, you won't be able to get those back for a while. Yeah, so I'm not gonna go deep into her. The whole thing with her is that she's the shopkeep.
Ashen One, bring me umbral ash.
Yep.
With ash, I'll fashion new wares. Is it not our sorry fate to sup on death?
So she's very, depressing. Is really the best way to say that. But, yeah. So her whole thing is that if you bring her umbral ash, which is like the ashes of, like, other fallen warriors who tried to, you know, link the flame, she will take their ashes and then she'll, like, turn them into, like, new stuff in the shop. You'll unlock more stuff to buy.
Asher, bring me.
Yep, I didn't mean to click on that. I meant to go to leave. Yeah, so you pay for stuff for, I guess that's kind of obvious, but you pay for stuff using souls, which is why they're so referenced across everything. You use souls to buy stuff, you use souls for leveling up, you use souls for basically use them for reinforcing weapons, all that. So souls are very important, which is why I didn't want to lose them at the Udex fight. at all. Like, I didn't even want to drop them, because if I dropped them and I failed to grab them the second time, they would have disappeared forever, and I would have never been able to get my souls back. Which is just the worst feeling in the world.
Very well, then touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls.
So, like I said, she levels you up. I'm gonna upgrade my strength. And just kinda, I'm gonna upgrade my strength and my vitality pretty much evenly. So I can wield heavier stuff. Because again, heavy stuff, more damage. Self-explanatory. And we will now move on to the High Wall of Lothric. I'm just not gonna try, you know, the Uchigatana man just yet. I kind of showed you guys where he is, and I will... Again, he's another one of those enemies that's like, I don't suggest fighting him at the beginning, because he just shreds through your health. And it's ridiculous if you're trying to beat him, like, right away. But, once you go back in there, just clean up just like that. Now, this isn't something that will reoccur, this is a one-time thing, before, you know, you try questioning it. This is not important. You just kinda wanna go straight through here, open the doors. You will not always be teleported to a room when you reach a new area, that's the only time. But, you know, now we're gonna move to the first bonfire of the High Wall of Lothric. And, I'm gonna stop the stream here. I really hope that you found it, you know, all this information useful. As I said at the beginning, if you found any of this useful, or you really liked my content, just like, subscribe, and if you'd like, you can leave a comment on what you think, you know, what you would have wanted me to see me grab, what you might, if you want to see me do this more, or what other content you'd want to see, you know? So, alright, goodbye.